Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of Monday Morning Tea with me. I don't even know if I should say welcome back to my channel because I'm trying to post this on both my channel and IGTV. So if this is on IGTV and this is where you're watching me, hi, hey, how are ya? I do this on my channel as well and there's more content from where this came from, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's move forward. So today I'm not really taking tea, I'm taking a concoction because if you can't hear it in the raspiness of my sexy voice, I have a cold and I've been having a cold for some time. You know, let me say something. Every single time I come back home, for those of you who don't know, I'm back home. Every single time I come back home, I either get A, malaria or B, a cold. And it's usually a cold, guys. And especially during this panoramic, it's very scary to catch a cold. But anyway, that's besides the point. So today I will be drinking, it's not really tea. So it's a mixture of ginger, lemon, and you're supposed to have it with honey. And I wanted to be a bad man boss and not have it with honey, but then I really tasted it without the honey and I said, never that, sweetie. And I just put some honey in it, so that's what I'm gonna be having. And oh, let me give a quick disclaimer. Throughout this entire video, I will be rubbing this, guys, like this. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like menthol plus. This is the plug. This is the plug. The plug. Like, guys, this thing can open the gates of heaven. Do you know when your nose is blocked to the point where you're asking God why? This is the stuff right here. Anyway, let's move right into this video. So today, actually, the topic is very much so based around me being back home and everything that I've just been learning, because I took a break when I came back home so I can just, you know, re-immerse and integrate myself into society. And there's just a couple of things that I've actually learned that are quite bizarre. If you honestly ask me, I feel like they're actually kind of bizarre. It regards really the African culture, or well, more specifically my culture, of which I've really noticed that a lot of like African culture and like traditions, etc., like they mirror each other on the principles. So I will just say African culture for the purposes of this video. A lot of the principles of African cultures and children, and also the principles regarding adulthood and marriage, if that makes sense. I think it'll make more sense as I go into the video. And here, let me take my first sip of this tonic of death. Wait, guys. Wow, I'm so sorry to sniff. I know some of you hate sniffing, but I'm sick, okay? I can have it today. Anyway, so the first thing I actually want to talk about is I was talking to like a lot of women. Well, not a lot of women. Yes, a lot of women. I didn't want to say that because I didn't want to embarrass anybody on this channel. But a lot of women that I've spoken to have, like, they're very much so in toxic relationships or toxic marriages. And I don't know, guys, like, do I have a face where you can just tell me everything? Because people really do tell me, like, you know, I have a toxic relationship where I'm in a toxic marriage with someone, and mainly the one for toxic marriages. And a lot of the women in toxic marriages, like from Africa, the ones that I've met, usually tell me that, you know what, it's better to stay. And I really followed up on why it is better to stay. And on the traditional or cultural aspect of it all, like minus all society will judge you and all those other things that we all here know, on the traditional aspect of it, I actually found out that if you go and have a divorce, and you don't go through the proper process, there's actually a process of having a divorce where you have to like go and slaughter a lamb and offer it to the ancestors and etc, that if you don't do all that, misfortune and lack of love will follow you for the rest of your life. And I just want to just pause the video there. I want to pause it right there because I don't understand how this is even a technical threat. Like, how is this even a technical threat? And to make matters worse, I even found out that sometimes you can actually go and do all these things and go and slaughter the lamb for the ancestors and go and do all the above, and love will still not follow you because the ancestors are upset because the union was blessed and you decided to leave. Now, I just want to say that this is a chokehold. I want to say that because I have seen many people leave. And honestly, people are going to be in the comment section like, oh, Paige, you're so disrespectful to culture. Paige, you don't care about people's cultures, etc. But it's not that I don't care about the culture. I care about the people within the culture. So you're telling me when your husband is boxing you in your house, you're going to stay there because if you live there, you might never find love. Do you have love there? That's the better question. Like, I really heard this and I was like, is this something very credible? Like, are you really listening to this? And they're like, yeah, you know, they've seen it happen that many people who leave their marriages, they go on to other marriages or other relationships and they fail regardless. And the people that I was speaking to highly based it off of the fact that they failed in their, like the fact that they abandoned their first marriage. So it was like a punishment from the ancestors. And I just want to say one thing, guys. I don't believe it. As I have been saying, like, you can't tell me that this is basically an excuse to keep women or men who are in abusive relationships in that abusive relationship, and not actually, like, they don't take account into the fact that you need to hold the person who is abusing the other person accountable. So what, you expect the other person to stay in that relationship on the threat that they'll never find love, regardless of the fact that they don't even have love in that relationship? I honestly, my theory is, like, I want to remove the theory of that cultural aspect, and my theory of all of this is actually, I think that the reason you would go on to another relationship and fail in that relationship is because you're carrying the same behavioral characteristics, or the same behavior of like being passive aggressive, and you repeat the same behaviors you repeated within this other marriage in that other marriage. And that's one. My second theory is that many people actually don't realize it, but they constantly, you don't even not realize it. No, you don't realize, because I look at you people and it's like you're not realizing. You're consistently going for the same type of man or woman who will abuse you or who will constantly belittle you, etc. And so it's not the fact that you're cursed by the ancestors for leaving your previous relationship or marriage. It's not that. Just change your approach, fam. Change the way you approach situations. Change the type of people you approach the situation, like the type of people you approach and engage in relationships with. Like, I think a lot of that can be solved very simply with therapy. I don't really understand why the African culture has decided to hold us by the necks and tell us that you can't leave an abusive marriage or an abusive relationship. Well, marriage mostly. That you can't leave an abusive marriage simply because it was blessed by the ancestors, and if you don't leave, you'll never have love. And the fact of the matter is that you never had love in the first place. Am I understood? I know many of the people that watch this channel actually are not like people who are married or of older age, but I just want you to know it's okay, boo. You who is watching this and you know someone who is being boxed in their relationship and they're being told by every other grandmother and every other person in the community you can't leave because of this and that, I am telling you, go see a therapist and you'll be fine. You'll be just fine, babes. Anyway, on that aspect, I don't know about your finances and everything. Yeah, I only come here to talk about what I know. Anyway, moving forward. So the next thing I actually wanted to talk about is with regards to like African principles and African culture, African principles with children. Now, I'm so sorry, I keep sniffing. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna have to put this on. Just give me a minute. Oh yeah. You can really feel it going in there. Oh yeah. Anyway, moving on. So as I said, the next thing I wanted to talk about was actually African principles with regards to children and what it like says about children. And it's just one thing. There are many, but this is like the one that I really picked, and I said, that doesn't sound probable. That doesn't sound probable. So in my culture, or well, as is in many African cultures, it's usually said that if you make like your parents cry, that like no basis, like if it's obviously tears of sorrow, like if you make your parents cry, like obvious tears of sorrow, that you will face the same hardship and the same type of thing will be replicated unto you in your old age, or just basically when you have children, or like basically like your things won't go according to plan. Now, me, I just want to take a pause. Like, I just want to say, you know, there's actually, and I hate to say this, I'm obviously not talking about anybody's parents in specific, I'm not talking about mine either, but you know, there's like many people who their parents are not okay, like unreasonable, not even mentally deranged, like not even mentally unstable or with mental health issues, but many people's parents are not okay. Like they will cry over the smallest thing. Parents can cry because they're humans. They can cry because of misunderstanding and miscommunication. They can cry over so many things, like in terms of sorrow that the child didn't even have intent on doing. So the fact that that principle takes it out of the fact of the, like they take intent of the child out of it is completely wild to me. It's completely wild to me. Because what if my mom is crying because I didn't clean my room? Does that now mean that I deserve an entire lifetime of misery and suffering, and a child who will not clean their room and also now go on to be a drug user? Is that what that means? Like, I just feel some of these things, some of the principles that were created, or some of the things that I've been told over and over, because these are things I've been told like over and over and over and over since I was a child by like so many people, not just my immediate family or anything, but so many people. But as I grow older and I grow up to see, I just feel like it's behavior. Because if the concept that if I cry, if my child makes me cry, then their child will make them cry, is solely dependent. And I go back to the same argument. That's solely dependent on behavioral characteristics. If you do not change your behavioral characteristics, why would, if you do the same thing to your child that your mom did to you, a pun, if you do the same things, why would you not expect to cry? Like, if the behavior is the same, and it usually is for many people, the way they are raised is the same way. They'll be like, oh, could never be made. But that's the same way in which they raise their children, because no therapy has been done, no self-reflection, no nothing has been done. And you end up raising your children the same way, and your child ends up rebelling against you in the same way, or even worse. And then now you're gonna link it back to because I made my mom cry in the same way. Like, do you see? Like, the moral of this video that as opposed to break the shackles and break them free, babes, like, the moral of this story is that if you change your behavior, a lot can be changed. Like, I personally, as I was listening to all of these, like, over the past like 3 weeks, I think I've been off this platform for like 2 or 3 weeks, I'm not sure, but over that time I've really been listening to many of these African preachings and many of these African principles, because I'm very interested in things like that. And I've just been noticing that this whole, if you do this, this will happen, it's very much so based on your behavioral characteristics. Like, many people always consistently complain about the same problems. They're like, oh, this and this is constantly happening to me, this and this is constantly happening to me. Like, I'm saying, every time I come home I always get a cold, and it's usually because I end up here I come home like I'm in summer holiday vests and all. But what I'm saying is, the moral of this story is continuously check your behavior, continuously check what you're doing. And when people tell you things, or when things happen to you, you'll find it more easier to maneuver a situation and understand the situation once you have understood and learned to regulate your own self. And that, as well as the fact that I don't believe for a good goddamn minute that if I leave an abusive relationship, I'm going to be struck by the ancestors into my next relationship, and that's going to be made to fail. I don't believe it. I don't think my ancestors are that wrathful. Like, I don't think so. I don't think yours are either. Like, I think some of these things also, as African people, we really need to reason it and really need to think about it. And also, if we reasoned it and thought about it and really prioritized therapizing ourselves or going to therapy, etc., I think we would be much farther, and things like that really wouldn't be able to be told to us, and we'd be able to believe it in such a distinct manner. Because in such a way, that's like telling people that you're not responsible for your own actions, because things are going to happen regardless, which is a lie. Because there could be perpetual poverty in your family, and you decide, I'm gonna break from the shackles, and you break from the shackles. Were you not in a toxic relationship with poverty? Are your ancestors coming for you? Thank you. Anyway, thank you guys so much for this video. I feel it was a bit chaotic. I don't know if I got my message across, but I really hope that I did. And I'm gonna go and finish this off camera, because this is even too much to be sipping for you people. Like, this is a lot. Or do you think I should just chug it, because it tastes so bad and it's not even hot anymore? I'm gonna just do it. I'm gonna chug it. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Oh. Oh. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Actually, the ginger for me. Oh, is the brown one ginger or garlic? Oh my god. That tastes real bad. Anyway, guys, wear your sweaters. Wear your goddamn sweaters. That's all I can say. Break the shackles. Let me compose myself to say bye. Okay. Anyway, guy, I could actually be a serial killer. Anyway, bye guys. I will see you in my next one.